This is the Bible Forum. I'm Warren Sprouse. Glad you're here. We're going to be looking tonight back in our past, and then we're going to be looking forward at the changes over the next 5, maybe 10 years. You remember back in 1998, Kodak was a big company, had 170,000 employees, sold 85% of all the photo paper worldwide. Where's Kodak today? It only took a few years and their business model disappeared. They went bankrupt. They're done. What happened to Kodak is going to happen in a lot of industries over the next 5 to 10 years, and most of us won't see it coming. How many people thought in 1998 that 3 years later you would never take a picture on film again? And yet the digital camera was invented in 1975. The first one had only 10,000 pixels. But with that followed something called Moore's Law. The observation that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubles approximately every 2 years. And so this thing started to roll. As with all exponential technologies, the standard ended up a disappointment for a while before the evolution became so far superior and then so mainstream that in just a few years we don't even remember the other stuff. It's going to happen again. Only this time it's going to happen a lot faster. It's coming with artificial intelligence. It's coming with health issues and autonomous and electric cars, education, 3D printing, agriculture, and jobs. This is being called the Fourth Industrial Revolution and the exponential age. Software is going to disrupt most traditional industries in the next 5 to 10 years. Uber is just a software tool. They don't own any cars and are now the biggest taxi company in the world. Airbnb is now the biggest hotel company in the world, and they don't own any property. Artificial intelligence, their computers become exponentially better in understanding the world. This year, a computer beat the best Go player in the world. Did it 10 years earlier than anybody expected. Now, I don't even know what a Go player is. In the United States, young lawyers already don't get jobs. Because of IBM's Watson, you can get legal advice so far for more or less basic stuff, but within seconds, it's going to explode, and that legal advice comes to you with 90% accuracy compared with the 70% when it's done by humans. So if you're studying law, stop right now. There will be 90% fewer lawyers in the future. Only the omniscient specialists are going to remain. Watson already helps nurses diagnose cancer, 4 times more accurate than human nurses. Facebook now has a pattern recognition software that can recognize faces better than humans. In 2030, computers will become more intelligent than humans. I read just this week of surgery on a man's back. I think it was 6 screws needed to be put in just the right place. A robot did it. The doctor watched. This afternoon, a friend of mine sent me a link to a YouTube. They filmed it. You can watch it. In 2018, the first self-driving cars will start to appear in public. Around 2020, the complete industry will start to be disrupted. People won't want a car anymore. You'll call a car with your phone. It'll show up at your location. It'll drive you to your destination, and it'll go away. You don't need to park it. All you have to do is pay for the distance that you drove. And you can be productive while it's driving you someplace. Very young children of today will never get a driver's license. They'll never own a car. It'll change the cities because we'll need 90 to 95% less cars. We can transform former parking spaces into parks. 1.2 million people die every year in car accidents. We now have one accident every 60,000 miles with autonomous driving. That will drop to one accident in every 6 million miles. That'll save 1 million lives a year worldwide. Most car companies will probably go bankrupt. Traditional car companies try the evolutionary approach and just build a better car, while tech companies, Tesla, Apple, Google, will do the revolutionary approach and build a computer on wheels. Many engineers from Volkswagen and Audi are completely terrified of Tesla. Insurance companies will have massive trouble because without accidents, the insurance will become 100 times cheaper. Their car insurance business model will disappear. Real estate's going to change. If you can work while you commute, people will move further away to live in a more beautiful neighborhood. Electric cars will become mainstream about 2020. Cities will be less noisy because new cars run on electricity. You ever hear them? No. Electricity will become incredibly cheap and clean. Solar production is on an exponential curve. For the last 30 years, you can now see the impact. Last year, more solar energy was installed worldwide than fossil. Energy companies are desperately trying to limit access to the grid to prevent competition from home solar installations. But that simply cannot continue. Technology will take care of that strategy. With cheap electricity comes cheap and abundant water. Desalination of salt water now only needs 2 kilowatt hours per cubic meter at 25 cents each. We don't have a scarce water supply in most places. We only have a scarce drinking water supply. Imagine what will be possible if anyone can have as much clean water as they want for almost no cost. Have you ever watched Star Wars? In the health industry, they're making a tricorder. They're going to announce the price of the tricorder this year. Companies will build medical devices that work with your phone, which takes your retina scan, your blood sample, your breath. It then analyzes 54 biomarkers that will identify nearly any disease. It'll be cheap. So in a few years, everyone on this planet will have access to top-class medical analysis almost for free. Goodbye, self-serving medical practitioners and establishments. 3D printing. The price of the cheapest 3D printer has come down from $18,000 to $400 in the last 10 years. In that same time, it has become 100 times faster. All major shoe companies have already started 3D printing of shoes. Some spare airplane parts are already 3D printed in remote airports. The space station now is a printer that eliminates the need for a large amount of spare parts. At the end of this year, new smartphones will have 3D scanning possibilities. You can 3D scan your feet and print your perfect shoe at home. In China, they already 3D print and build a complete 6-story office building. In 2027, 10% of everything that's being produced will be 3D printed. And the business opportunities? If you think of a niche you want to work in or be part of, first ask yourself, in the future, do I think we'll have that? And if the answer is yes, then how can you make that happen sooner? If it doesn't work with your phone, you can forget the idea. Any idea designed for success in the 20th century is doomed to failure in the 21st. And work? 70 to 80% of the jobs we now know will disappear in the next 20 years. Oh, there'll be a lot of new jobs, but it's not quite clear if there'll be enough new jobs in such a short time. This is going to require a rethink on wealth distribution. There will be a $100 agricultural robot in the future. Farmers in the third world countries can then become managers of their field instead of working all day in the fields. Aeroponics, which need much less water, will begin to become popular. The Petri dish produced veal, now available and will be cheaper than cows producing veal in 2018. Right now, 30% of all agricultural surfaces is used for cows. Imagine if we don't need that space anymore. There are several startups who will bring insect protein to the market shortly. It contains more protein than meat. It will be labeled an alternative protein source because most people still reject the idea of eating bugs. There's an app called Moody's, which can already tell in which mood you're in. By 2020, there'll be an app that can tell by your facial expression if you're lying. Imagine a political debate, excuse me, where it's being displayed when you're telling the truth and when you're not. It will ultimately compel all politicians to be truthful. And that, my friends, will be a truly unique and novel occurrence. By 2020, or in some people's estimation, sooner, what a university student learns in the first year of a 3-year degree will be irrelevant and redundant by the time the 3rd year is complete. Welcome to a brave new world. You ready?